Good evening, and you are watching another live of Sisters Against Kidney Disease. And this evening, I have the pleasure and the honor of speaking with Miss Tracy Tittle. I wanted to bring this fellow warrior on because she has such a I want to say unique story on this journey because she's been able to receive care from not only the United States, but also in the West Indies. So it's just so many layers to her story. So I want to give her the opportunity to share her story. So, Miss Tracy, how are you?
I am doing great.
You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you wouldn't mind sharing with us your story as a CKD warrior.
I was diagnosed at age 14 with Streptococcus glomerulonephritis. I lost my kidneys actually through strep throat. And yes, the first year and a half dealing with kidney disease was I guess I should say a nightmare. Nothing I wish to wish on nobody else.
Yes.
I've went from a body weight of 125 pounds to 300 plus pounds just alone in fluid. Wow. John Hopkins wasn't able to dialyze me because every time I go on the machine, I would go unconscious after about 10 minutes after on the machine. And, you know, they tried hemo. Hemo did not work. They tried peritoneal PD. With PD, I had a lot of pelvic infections with PD. So they yanked PD and we went back to hemo. It went downhill. Literally downhill. On my 16th birthday, my lungs was collapsed because of so much fluid on the body. They weren't able to dialyze. So having said that, I was in ICU for about 2.5 weeks on a ventilator. They trying to pull hemo again with me being in ICU. But shortly after that, my 14-year-old sister decided she wanted to be an organ donor. But I'm going to back up because I actually had another relative who wanted to be a donor.
Okay.
And I guess it was a little bit too much for them. They backed out. So my 14-year-old sister stepped up and was willing to do a transplant. I know at that time at 14, she had no clue what was going to happen. The only thing she knew, she has to save my life because a transplant was the only option. I didn't have an option A and an option B. A transplant and a transplant now. I didn't have an option for transplant list. Being we are from the Caribbean, we are from the islands. Another island reached out to my hometown and offered to do the transplant.
Okay.
So at that time, I was currently here in John Hopkins. I actually flew to Antigua and then I flew out to Kingston, Jamaica, where we were met with a good team of doctors. It was a first for them of doing a transplant on a living related transplant. They have only done cadaverous transplant before, but we were willing to put our faith because we had no other choice but to have a transplant.
Okay.
I went from 0 meds to about 30 something meds a day. At 14, 15 years old, I was taking a lot of medication. I literally lived in John Hopkins for a year and a half. I was on a feeding tube for 8 hours a day because I couldn't keep anything down. My blood count was a 4. It was low. So, going through all of that, we welcomed the transplant, and we were going in with a whole lot of what if. What if it don't? And what if it, what if? I can remember the surgeon saying to us, you got to think positive because positive things will happen. Happens go lucky. My sister was a perfect match. Perfect match. I stayed in ICU roughly for about 2 weeks, and then I went to the general floor a week later. My transplant has been working successfully until I start going through rejection, June of 2015.
Wow.
So with my transplanted kidney, I end up and I have 2 beautiful kids, 2 teenagers now, 19 and 17.
Okay.
But I'm back there again, seeking a donor this time, and are able at some point to tolerate dialysis. They have tried PD again, and PD, I got a pelvic infections from PD. So, right now we are in the process of trying to find a donor. So far, I have no luck, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Actually, this month make 3 years. I'm listed on the university list.
Okay.
And I'm just out there promoting kidney disease and, organ donation. It do saves lives. I'm a living testimony. Living with the transplanted kidney for about 22 and a half years.
Wow.
Yes, to say that Jamaica could have done the transplant and I was the first and it was done in the islands. It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. So now doing dialysis, now doing the kidney walk back down the lane, I have a factor 8 deficiency. What that is supposed to be, I clot all of my accesses off, literally just clot them off. It came to the point where now I do see a hematologist. I do see the AC doctor, the anticoagulation doctors, to adjust my Coumadin level. And even though that I'm on Coumadin, I am still clotting my access off. So it's a thing where a kidney is needed urgently.
It is.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Now you started at age 14, 16. Your 14-year-old sister was your donor.
She was 14 and I was 16.
Right. So show the correlation between step throat and kidney disease. How did you get there from one to the next?
I had a terrible cold. I can recall having a terrible cough. I can recall having a gastro at the same time. And when I went into renal failure, I was living in the islands. And at that time, I was the first. They had no way of doing a kidney biopsy. They didn't have a nephrologist. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the medication. They didn't have a dialysis center.
And
by the time I came to the States, my kidneys were already gone.
Wow. So because I'm familiar from where you're from, you're Antiguan, but I'm Barbadian, and I realize being in the States, we have the luxury of multiple hospitals and multiple doctors. But in Antigua and Barbuda, we don't. You know, you have the house, and you have doctors that come on assignment for months, and then they go. So the fact that you were the first, that is a miracle in itself. I know for myself, when Hurricane Irma hit, I wanted to go with my family to help with the cleanup. But because I'm a kidney disease warrior, they couldn't guarantee dialysis or treatment from me. So the fact that you were able to do that in the island is a miracle in itself. So I'm in awe of that, and the fact that your 14-year-old sister made such a grown-up sacrifice. And you had a 22-year successful run with that kidney. You are a walking, breathing miracle man. So what is your blood type? How can you get your story out?
I am O positive, and because of being O positive, it's one of the blood type that are in high demand. I was told if I'm being on the list, I will be on the list for 5 to 6 years without being transplanted. Wait, 5 to 6 years wait time.
Well, I'm also positive, so I realize that is a popular, unfortunately, group that's in need to be transplanted. What do you do to keep yourself encouraged? Who's a beautiful young lady behind you?
This is my daughter. At first, I asked if she wanted to come in the live. She said no, but she has been inching on my shoulder all night.
We're twins.
I love it.
I just doing the t-shirt by accident.
Okay, well, what do you do to keep yourself encouraged? And how does your daughter help you?
I know you're not about to.
I think they are a handful. They're a handful. So besides dialysis, I do work. I do have a full-time job.
Wow.
So I try sometimes to socialize, but sometimes it is so hard because doing treatments, my pressure tends to drop real low, crazy low, where we're 70s, over 50 something low. And you know, with that feeling, it's like you have no energy. My chest is hurting. I'm breathing heavy. So when I do get a chance to hang out and mingle, I do. But most of the time I'm at home if I'm not at work.
Now you've been on the journey. What is some of the adjustments you've had to make to ensure that you were in the best health possible for the situation?
My diet. I do not eat food that are highly seasoned, because I remember when I got sick first, I was on a no salt diet for 2 years. Everything was no salt. There was literally not one bottle of seasoning in my house with sodium. If it wasn't Mrs. Dash or it wasn't any herbal seasoning, it was not in my house. We had popcorn with no salt, pretzels with no salt. And I think after I had my transplant and I look and see how sick I was, how so many times I come close to death, me eating I'm very picky on what I eat. I don't do a lot of greasy food. I don't do, like I said, food with highly seasoned. I try my best not to eat out a lot. if I have potato chips, I can't eat the whole bag because mentally I'm like, this has a lot of sodium. And with a lot of sodium and we don't urinate, that's not a good combination. Right. I also don't skip dialysis. I'm very strict on my dialysis treatment. Okay. If I'm not in the clinic, I am in the hospital. Literally, I would not skip a day and said, oh, well, I'm not going. Yes, the thought comes to mind, but then on the flip side, I know exactly what could happen. Right. We can get overloaded. Your levels get a whole lot high. Your phosphorus get high. Your potassium is out of whack. And I know what that can do. Right. So I think I just try to do the best that I can with the whole diet maintaining thing. They actually said to me last night, you are like just what, 0.8 over your dry weight. Didn't you eat and drink over the weekend? I said, yeah, I did eat and I did drink. They said, but you have nothing on. You're only 0.8 over. And they were like, well, I said to them, you know what? I don't know what it is. I guess it's just conscious minded that, I don't know. I try not to overdo. And like I said, I'm calling them. Do you got an early seat? Can I come in early? I tell them I'm not the one. If you don't see me, you call me. That means something is wrong. But I'm not the skipper.
Okay. So what has been some of the biggest differences between care in the island and the care in the States?
Wow. That's the big difference. I was living at home before I migrated to the States back in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. I went into kidney rejection 3 times. I knew something was wrong when I started to retain fluid and my creatinine started spiking. So what I did, I came to the States and I went back to University of Maryland. Okay. And like I said, we didn't have, we still probably don't have all of the technology that is here. Since I've came on the map with kidney disease, Antigua has now acquired a dialysis center. I heard there's about 15 shares. I heard they have done a couple successfully kidney transplants, and I think they have just done an open heart surgery, but I'm still skeptical in going back, especially now that I'm going through dialysis. I want to go home in the summer, but my biggest fear is going and not able to cannulate. It's no way I'm going to have them go into my access. Literally no way. If I'm here and I'm not able to cannulate, I go to the access center. If the access center is closed, I go to the hospital. And of course, we become priority, top at the priority list in getting dialyzing, getting the access working. So the big difference to me right now is traveling to Antigua, traveling to the islands, because of just getting fear of going there and not able to do my treatment. And without my treatment, it's no life. Right. But there's definitely a big difference. It's one hospital there. Here, there are multiple hospitals.
Yes. What has been your biggest source of just thriving and not allowing this journey to rob you of who you are as Tracy?
I think my family. I think my kids. I have a good family, I should say cheerleading team, support system. You're in the hospital. This one want to spend the night. The other one want to spend the night. It's like, go home. I'm in the hospital. But I think my family, a good support system is the best going through this journey. you don't have the family support or you don't have anyone, I think you kind of like get depressed and you take it on. But when I'm in the hospital, I know that I have people that are willing to take off from work or spend the night if they have to spend the night, spend the day if they have to, if they got to sit and wait and meet in surgery all day. That's what they're going to do.
Right.
So I got a good support system.
That's wonderful. Now, you mentioned that you're a donor. Please share your information for those who are watching. They may share your story with someone else.
I am registered with the University of Maryland organ transplant list. Like I said, I am O positive, but also now they have the paired kidney program. So even though you're not a match and somebody else want to donate, they will try to do a workup, or they will do a workup to pair the kidney. So in other words, my donor will donate to a person who matches, and then I will get a kidney from someone who matches. So that also is a plus, because back then, if you weren't getting a no positive kidney, that was the end of the whole transplant situation. But over the years, they have made it to the point where it works all the way around. Before, I have an open down L-shaped cut on my belly. Now they're doing their transplants, if possible, to your belly button. So staying in the hospital and your downtime went from 4 or 5 days to 2-3 days down.
Right.
So I'm hoping that, someone will see the live and actually try to share or try to reach out to friends, loved ones, and ask for help in me getting the gift of life. My hope for 2019 is to be transplanted.
I'm going to stand in faith with you. Oh, yes, ma'am. Well, I'm going to say thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that time is so precious, especially on this journey. And I want you to know that I am rooting for you. I think you are amazing. Not only because you're a fellow warrior, but because I'm a little partial, because we come from Twin Isles, you're in Michigan and I'm Barbados. I'm so thankful that our paths have crossed. I don't know what this echo is, but we're going to run with it, right?
Yes.
Stop this show.
No.
You are an overcomer. I believe that God has something amazing in store for you. Your whole story is a miracle. You're a living and breathing testimony. Don't stop sharing your story. Even on those tough days, don't you quit. This is not the end of your story. This is only the beginning. And we have work to do. We're, I always say, okay, we're on this journey, but not always for ourselves, but to be a blessing to someone else. But we want to make sure that every time we share our story, we share the good. We share the life and the possibility, because there are fellow warriors who always see the good. And you look amazing, ma'am. So they need to see that you can still thrive and live and be wonderful, even on this journey. You said you work full time. Most of us are not able to do so. So again, you're still showing that there's still life and normalcy on this journey. And for that, I salute you and I honor you. Continue to be amazing. Please, let's stay in contact. I just want to see how amazing your story will continue to unfold, Miss Tracy. So, God bless you. You and your family. You have so much more support. And I look forward to hearing that you got your transplant in 2019.
Yes.
Okay. Any parting words before we disconnect?
Donate. Organ donation save lives. Donate. It don't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all to put on your driver's license or your ID. I am an organ donor, because the life you may save, it might be your very own. So organ donation saves lives.
And on that, we say good night.
Good night.
Tracy.
You're welcome. My pleasure.